Hello guys. Today I'm going to review the Panzer IV Ausf D 3-in-1. This is what is known as a super kit. The second one in the series of them. There was about, I think, 6 or 7. I need to say right up front, there are 2 pieces missing from this particular one. One because I cannibalized it to use it with another very similar kit, and the other one because it just wasn't in there when I got it off eBay. It was in the other kit that I had and have built so I can show it. So my apologies for that not being there. That being said, this is 6265, which was released in 2006. It is based on 6264, which came out in 05. There was a few complaints about that. I could actually show you those parts, but they're seriously, someone like myself would never notice the inaccuracies of that thing. So then there was this, 6265 in 06. Then right behind that there was 6291, which was a C in 06. Then 6301, which was the Panzer E, which a lot of guys on YouTube got a while ago, also in 06. Then there was a B that came under Cyber Hobby, 6297. And then a D Tauk Panzer 6327, all in 06. Those are, from what I know, the Super Kit line. There are other Panzer IVs that came out afterwards that used some of the sprues, but usually didn't use the separate tires for the wheels and stuff. I'll show you that in a bit. So let's look at this thing real quick. So this thing, it's big on kind of over engineering for Dragon. So that's the cupola, which is pretty insane. And there's the 2 hull tubs, and that's one of the pieces it's missing. What isn't in here anymore is the with add-on armor version, which I'm going to build this as a early war one anyway, not a DAC one, so I don't need that. Turret floor, so this has a relatively full interior for the turret, which is pretty rare for Dragon stuff. That's what that looks like built up. Full coaxial MG, that's actually kind of a big deal. Just all turret stuff in the teeth on the turret ring, very cool. Tons of stuff back here. I don't want to go through every bit of it, but a lot of stuff. Something that pops to mind is people talk about this, the interior workings of the final drives and drive sprockets, which they always say if you want to show a maintenance scene, but I'll be damned if I ever want to do that. But it's cool that it's there. This is cool. That's the bogies and the wheels are that many pieces. I think I counted 12 because I built 6264, the original version, the E. Gas caps, all kinds of cool stuff. Different, there's the tropical and non-tropical versions of the vents in the back. There's markings. This is what I'll be doing because I like the look of that, and I built my E like this anyway. It's half done right here. So the sprue map on the front of the instructions, there's not a ton that's not used. Apparently almost this entire sprue. And a bit of this one, but not too much for something this size. For something that claims to have as many parts as it does, that's not a whole lot unused. Alright, this could get intense. So here's your 3-in-1 options, so they're identified in different colors as well as different numbers, which is cool. I'm still not terribly good at not messing that up. So there is step 1, right? And this is even more intense than the E that I built. That's just a crazy amount of parts just to build a sprocket. All of these pieces are separate, so I mean that's how they were really built. But wow. And there's options there as well. I think some of these are putting individual bolts on. Says, yeah, times 12, no thank you. And then here just these bogie assemblies are a lot of parts, separate rubber for the tires, which is one of my favorite things about these. Good lord. And then the exhaust, photo etch chain on the back. And this, I remember building this in the other one as well. This 1, 2, 3, 4 parts plus this and this, so 5, 6 altogether. is just building up. Well, you won't be able to see it because it's black. Dang. But just the idler adjusters in the back of this thing. It's pretty crazy. Okay, trying to get this in shot. Here's where you pick the hulls, right? Armored or not armored. There's a lot going on here. Normally I try to just pick out some stuff and make it simplified, but holy cow. Open or closed fuel fillers. Here's the interior for the fuel filler. Putting all bump stops on. This is where the turret locks in on the hull floor. Wow. These are some of the busiest Dragon stuff I've seen. This I had a really hard time with myself. You have to add these armor pieces on separately to the bottom. Here, I don't know if that's going to pick up or not. I did kind of a terrible job of it on that one. BioMG. Okay, so here's some of the differences in like the deck, engine deck versus the other one. Open or closed, because I believe there's fan detail in here. There is, and the fans are separate. This wasn't on the E that I built either. There's some hatch stuff going on. This isn't terribly fiddly. There's some PE that goes on here as well though. But this will get very busy. You can see the alternate options here, like the production one, which I'll be doing, and then like the tropical and the add-on one are essentially the same thing. Hatches going on. There's PE for this thing by the, I'm not really sure what that's called. But here's the tools going on. Here's all the tools getting all of their photo etch versions of clamps. And the top-down views of where stuff goes. I like that. And that's the opposite side, the same thing. Making the stuff. There's the top-down view. Doing the jack, the headlights. Good God. Not enough room on the bench for this. So, turret bin and cupola up here. I'm not sure if this has the turret bin with the interior detail. It looks like it might. No, you have to add it with PE. That's awful. There's the cupola. Little tiny padlocks. I've seen those on Tigers. I've never done them. I always just kind of just leave them. Turret basket. Gun assembly isn't terribly hard. There's a metal barrel for it as well. Metal tow cables, assembling the rest of the turret. The exhaust is done in a cool way, where it's multiple sections that way, so there's not a big seam on it. Extra jerry cans, magic tracks, simple stuff. Marking options, however, are pretty intense, because there's a ton of them. I just plan on doing one of these guys. Balkans 41 or France 40, probably this guy here. Alright, so in the box, first thing we have is this little guy, which is our metal parts. It's not quite as big as the kit that came before, and I'm not sure about the others after it. We've got a very small metal barrel, but it looks pretty good when it's on. These are 2 spare wheel holders, sorry about any glare, a couple of shells, some grab handles, shovel cover, not a whole lot, mostly just bent wire. But very cool. I like it when I see these things. A lot of the stuff in the other kit I didn't use anyway. Magic tracks are the smaller, earlier type. Not a whole lot to say. They should be hollow guide horn, which they are. And that's about it. Yay, love magic tracks. This dragon card is actually quite extensive for even any of the stuff I've seen. Like this big piece here with all these little sprues in it. So, let's see. Not even sure what they are as compared to the other clear parts or these. These could be like vision blocks for the cupola, I don't know. Some tiny little eyelets for the tow cables, and the padlocks are here. This looks like PE clamp etch to me. This it says Panzer IV on it. Even looks a different color than this. It's strange. This is a very similar fret to what came in the E-kit. So these are your louver vent things for the back. These go up right below that area on the side. Jerry can stuff, and then these are alternates, I think, for the DAC variant. So, tiny little tow cable, PE for the idlers. Completely, like, one piece. I like this. I'm gonna guess slide molded idlers. Here's the early cupola, the drum style cupola. My apologies for not taking that out. If I thought about it, I would have. Here's your separate rubber tires, excuse me, which I love because I hate painting wheels. And then a pretty big decal sheet. Lots of divisional markings, Balkenkreuz, bunch of numbers, stuff you'd expect. Everything looks good there, but and it's a lot of stuff. I just love having that much in a kit. I think I got this thing for 20 bucks on eBay anyway, so. Okay. Sprues. So here's a big one. This is the entire upper hull, right? One piece, which is nice. There's the rear plate. These are spare wheels, so they're going to have like teeth in there. And they also have separate rubber. There's these vents that go here. They're right there. These are spare wheel hubs, I'm assuming, for these guys. Some tiny, tiny little bits there. This looks like the antenna holder, which is one piece instead of two. Just your side armor plates. There's the plastic option for these pieces you have photo etch for. Same with the DAC engine stuff. You actually have to put pieces in these hatches as well, like to finish them off. They're not just one piece. Very cool. And I'll jump to this guy. This is a interior turret sprue, so you don't see this on many of the newer Panzer IVs. That's the basket floor itself. If I remember correctly, these are variants for the gun. Yeah. There's seats. This is the thing, as far as I know, basically pushes over the antenna. I don't know what other purpose it serves. Gun breech, mantlet, gun, spent shell thing. It's got some nice form to it. I think this is the styrene barrel, which is sort of, it looks one piece in the front, but it isn't. It's got a seam here. It's an MG34. But everything's clean. I mean, this kit, I think, it's just beautiful. There's really nothing wrong with any of the sprues. So this guy, I don't think we use a lot of. This is the earlier bottom part of the turret from the E. Has the teeth on it though. There's the jig for the magic tracks. Stuff for the stowage bin, which is here. Mantlet, extra armor for the front piece. So this is one we do use. So this may be specific to, well, it doesn't list which kit it's for, but I think this is the first one it was used in. But here's that piece again. Just as nice. Side plates, another rear plate. You're going to see a lot of things more than once. Here's the fans for the engines in the back. More mantlet stuff. These are pieces of the exhaust, I believe. Some hatches for the front. There's honestly a lot of pieces on here I don't even recognize, which is strange since I just built a nearly identical kit to this. Here's one of the bigger ones. So we've got fenders here with locator points for the plastic tools, which is what I like to use because I'm not good enough for PE clamps yet. Rear plate, like the lower front of the main hull. That's fascinating. Parts the top of an MG34 with the barrel on it. Normally that's done slightly differently, I think. Rear mud flaps. These are little vision things. This is part of that, I'm guessing, bow MG? Yeah. Tiny little parts. MG34 ammo. Little hooks. This is for the rear, God, what's that called? It's the towing thing, and I knew the term for it and I can't think of it right now. But all this is perfect. Rear mud flaps, turret hatches for the idlers. This is what all the pieces get glued to, these guys here. You glue this to this to this, like it's a big assembly. It's a bunch of parts, but it looks really sweet when it's together. So there's two of these. And these are the Panzer IV suspension sprues before there was the current A sprue. So, you've got, these are the wheels, they're two-piece, then you glue the two separate rubbers to them. Are those the caps? These are what go on the hubs. I'm trying to figure out what these tiny little guys are. These don't look like return rollers. There's a lot of fiddly parts on this. But there's the bogies. This is separate. These are separate. Everything's separate. It's pretty intense because you have to make so many of them. And I did it once and I thought it was cool. I don't know that I'd want to do it every time. Here's how they work when they're done, which is pretty cool, but I don't know that I'll ever make use of it. So I enjoy building it though. I mean, half the reason I do this is because I like to know how these things work and I like to know more about them, and it was fun. These are the fenders for photo edge clamps, so they are the exact same as the other ones, just with no locating holes. Just as well textured, just as good looking. But that's it. There's two of these, and these are the simple drive sprockets and idlers. Although it's odd because you have these, the already done sort of slide molded version of this in the Dragon card, and then you have this one as well. And then here's your two-piece idler with a handful of what look like return rollers right there. I've got two of those. Then you've got two of these. Oh boy. I've never tried to build this assembly, but it's impressive looking. So you've got the bolts are right here. Here's the guide teeth, which you then have to glue to this part and this part, then glue all those together. It's like a model in itself, and it's just the drive sprockets, which is kind of amazing. I will for sure build this, or at least try when I do this one, but I may end up just going back to the other ones. But I'll try it. It's super cool. Let's see if they have... Okay, so here's the the armor for the bottom of the hull. Most of this comes molded on most Panzer IVs. And this is some of the stuff you hear about a lot. And this is the interior workings for the final drives. So here's the gears themselves. There's the final drives. There's more of that armor. And I think this goes on top of like this little gear here. That's that. I don't think I'll ever use it. I appreciate it being there, but I don't think that I'll use it. That's interesting. So these are armored covers for the final drives. This is what I had in the other kit where you had to glue them together. I'm not sure what this guy's about. Because I had two options in that one where it was two halves with the rivets or whatever on there, or a single piece, but I had to glue the rivet bits on, and I did not do that. So that's the fancy interior final drive sprue. You've got simple, no clamps on it tools and some jerry cans. But these are specific to Panzer IV. You can see that by the little spanner guy here. These jerry cans look cool. Two different fire extinguishers, all without the clamps or straps that hold them on. Some more tools with clamps now, which is what I'd be using. They don't have like the grab handle bit though. They're not quite up to standards of modern Dragon tools because these are 10 years old. The molding is, it's just the for my taste, the clamps aren't. There's the jack, and then this guy's got headlights with molded on conduit, and a no-tack and a convoy light on there as well, it looks like. Sorry if it's shaky or anything. This is some more cupola stuff. So here's the commander's hatch with the padding on the inside. I assume these get built up around the vision blocks with these bits here. Very small stuff. This isn't in all of them either. I'm not familiar with this sprue. So, here's the sprue that I cut a piece off of. I will explain quickly why that is. It would go right here. It is the add-on armor of the opposite side of this guy, which is now glued on to here. Because I messed that up and I needed one, and I knew that these kits had shared some parts, and I dove in and cut it off. I do that quite frequently. So here's some more hatches. Here's the piece I was just talking about. These are the final drive armored covers without bolts or rivets, and you have to glue them on separately. I tried and failed. That's an armor piece that goes over the driver's hatch. This is all basically up-armored stuff. Vorpanzer, if you will. Not sure. Those might be the bolts or rivets themselves right there. So tiny. Yep, and I failed. Got clear parts. Not going to spend a whole time trying to look at transparent things, but mostly for open hatches or headlight glass. Nothing's damaged, looks okay. So, the other piece that's missing would be the counterpart to this guy. So this is the lower hull for the not up-armored version. The up-armored version looks like this, if you see. They're nearly identical, except it would have this raised plate molded on. That's basically the only difference. There might be slightly different armor on the bottom. I can't tell because I went and painted mine. So this kit, I got the two together. This one only came with the one lower hull. Luckily, not an issue for me. But normally the kit comes with 2 separate lower hulls, which kind of blew my mind. But you can see here, these aren't on like they normally are, so you have to glue these on. There's very little on here, and I'm even surprised that the return roller mounts are, because it's pretty sparse otherwise. And there's the interior of the final drive stuff, so that if you want to glue those gears on there, you can. That's our turret. Tons of little rivets and race detail. Looks super cool. Surprised that's on there. Thought you had to glue that on. I think you did on the other one I did. The rain guard here. So I really like these things. I think they are, you can get them pretty cheap on eBay, and they're like kind of next gen stuff that never caught on. So they're sort of like this fluke of maybe over-engineered, but very, very cool kits. So now you know what's in this one. I think a lot of them from that series have mostly the same parts. So there you go.